is the next feature in my fun analysis of upcoming prospects this year that you should pay attention to in college football, and that are going to be talked about, of course, endlessly, especially being a quarterback. My first one was Malik Willis, which you can go check out on our YouTube page. I called him the next Michael Vick, and he plays like it for sure. So go check that out if you're interested. But our next one is going to be Sam Howell. He is a guy who a lot of people think has a chance at being the number one overall pick as a quarterback in the next year's draft. And I've watched a pretty decent amount of film on him, I feel, to kind of get an understanding of who he is. I could probably watch a lot more to just get the little ins and outs of the way he throws specific routes and maybe consistencies there. But I got enough where I can form my own opinion on what I think about him. And my opinion of what I think about him is that he's one of the most confusing prospects that I think I've seen in a long time, because I really don't know if he's going to be successful. The reason I say that is there's just so many things that you like about him as a player and a quarterback. And then there's just so many head scratching moments where I just go, I don't know how you missed that throw, or how you made like that other throw but then missed this one, or like just the inconsistencies there.
Right.
It was a very confusing watch. Now, the one thing I will say is that right off the bat, his arm strength is definitely up there. It's not some of the best I've ever seen. It's not the Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes for sure, but it's like on the level of like what I would say Baker Mayfield's at, where it's enough definitely to succeed in the NFL and exceed at a high level. It's not elite, but it's good enough for sure to make those deep throws. Now, the funny part while watching him is that his deep throw accuracy and his deep throw just decision making was off the charts, just crazy. Like, it was just so good. I haven't seen a prospect who I have been so disappointed by his throws within 15 yards, and then been so just amazed by his throws beyond 30 yards, that I just don't know what to say about him overall as a prospect, one way or another, whether or not he's going to succeed. Because I think there's a way that he can succeed in the NFL, in you know, uh, a system and everything. It's just he just there's decisions that just are made. So he also does progress well through his progressions. He does a great job of that. He does move through it very well, very quickly, and he never gives up on a play. That's one thing I will say is watching him run plays when they broke down was great. The way that he would handle the offense, the way he'd handle the pressure, the way that he would make something happen on the run. He kept the ball protected. He didn't fumble nearly as much as you saw like a Sam Darnold do in college and even in the pros. He did a lot with creating and making throws on the move. He was very accurate on the move as far as throws down the field. It's just some of the decisions that he would make were head scratching. And then some of the throws that he would make seemed like layups, or seemed like throws that other quarterbacks would easily be able to make in the NFL, but he was just having trouble with. I watched him throw, a pass in Clemson's game back in 2019, where he threw a perfect, dime 45-yard pass down the field. And then like the next drive, he would throw like a slant across the field and he would overthrow the guy, or he would throw it too far in front of him, or he'd throw it too far behind him. It was just weird. Like, and I know some of the throws behind him, you have to take into account that some of it's timing, some of it's, he thinks the receiver is going to settle down, the receiver doesn't, the receiver continues, and then the ball looks like it's thrown behind him. There are times like that when, yes, that does happen in college football, especially when the players aren't exceptional. But he just was a head scratcher just because some of the throws he made, it just did not make sense to me whatsoever. I didn't like understand most of the time what he was doing, or like it was just he would just do something and I was just like, I don't get where you were throwing the ball. Like, it's
Yeah.
like he would overthrow a guy, but like 5 yards, and it was like, dude, it's not a difficult throw. Like, it's plant your feet and make the throw. I don't understand how you're not. But
I'm
then the next play, he would throw a perfect dime 35 yards down the field on the move, running to his right. And you would just go, yeah, that's why he's one of the best prospects in the draft, but just confusing.
I'm seeing very poignant Trubisky comparisons in the chat.
Okay. So I know that there's going to be Trubisky comparisons, and I immediately went into it going, am I going to see a Trubisky part two? No, he's not Trubisky part two. And the reason why I say that is because when I watched Trubisky in college highlights, what I noticed about Trubisky is that he ran the offense very well, but it was one of those where when the play broke down, he would run, and then otherwise he would just make the throws. He didn't have the creative ability or the kind of magician aspect that you saw out of like a Zach Wilson, and why Zach Wilson got drafted so high. That's why Trubisky failed. And then also he failed because he didn't have experience, and you didn't see him develop. If Trubisky had a second year in college where he started, you might have seen where, oh, he's not improving on things that he did last year, and that would have affected his draft stock. But instead, he had 1 year where he flashed, and that was it. So with him though, with Sam Howell, there was improvement from year 2 to year 3, or year 1 to year 2. And then not only was that the case, but there was also just making better throws, getting through his progressions better, getting through his progressions faster, things like that that were happening from year 1 to year 2 that you didn't see out of a Trubisky. And again, like I said, Trubisky only having 13 games played, that's why that was such a big deal. That's part of the reason why a player only having a certain amount of games or one season under their belt playing before they move on is that you worry that their growth from the 1 year to the next is going to be an issue, because if teams figure them out and they don't grow or surpass what they were before to surpass the defense making a plan for them, then they'll fall through the cracks, and they won't be a top prospect. In the case of Trubisky, again, we didn't have that second year where now as a Bears fan and as a person who's watched the NFL, going into it, yeah, Trubisky's still making rookie mistakes as a fourth year player in the NFL and as a fourth year starter. That is not sufficient enough to be a starter in the NFL. Same goes for him in college. He only had 1 year in college where he flashed. That was it. He didn't win the job before that, and he didn't have a second year where you see that he developed or he got better or he improved or he's running the offense better or whatever. You only had the 1 year flash. This guy has had 2 years where he has improved from year 1 to year 2, and then he does have a third year this year where you're hopefully going to see him make another jump. And if he does make that next jump where he cleans up some of the throws that I'm talking about, that would make him the complete prospect that should get drafted, either 1 or 2 next year.
Yeah.
And I do liken him a lot to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is way more accurate with his passes. I mean, he was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the history of college football. That's why he won the Heisman, deservingly so. He's not Baker Mayfield in that sense, but he fits the Baker Mayfield mold of good arm, good deep throw accuracy, good ability to make things happen on the move and out of the pocket. And he doesn't panic too much when the pocket breaks down, and he focuses a lot downfield. Um, it's the only difference is Baker didn't have the issues I'm talking about with the short accuracy and the medium accuracy. Baker was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college history. So when he went to the pros, that's going to translate being accurate. So that's my only worry, is his accuracy is just not where it needs to be consistent enough in order for me to feel confident taking him 1 or 2. If I see that clear up in the year 3 as a junior this year, and then he goes into the draft, by all means, take him number 1 or 2 overall, because he has the potential to become a franchise quarterback. I'm just worried that that stuff isn't going to get cleared up. And if it's not cleared up, he's going to really need a quarterback coach in the NFL that's going to be able to improve that and clear that up for him to be serviceable in the NFL. Because you can't be missing, 7-yard slants or 10-yard out routes. You can't be missing.
What do you mean? Sure, you can. You could start for the Bears for 4 years and do just fine.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Dear God.
He also does
you
straight up
can't-
look like Baker Mayfield here. Just saying.
He does. He's 6'1", so maybe slightly taller than Baker Mayfield, but he's like the same kind of stocky, athleticism, but not super. He's not as athletic as like a Trubisky was in college. He, like I said, gets creative outside the pocket and does well, keeps his eyes downfield, runs through his progressions well. It's just he has issues with the short accuracy, and I don't know what game you have pulled up right there. If you do, I think
This is
do you
Notre
have a game?
Dame.
Oh, the Notre Dame game. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, pull that up. And there's just so pull that up and let that play in the background without sound. And we'll kind of go through some of these plays because some of them, again, so skip this intro part because this is them talking about Wakefield or Wake Forest, the previous game he played. The previous game he played was against Wake Forest, and he lit it up, but it's also Wake Forest, and they were down, and so there's questions you could say about that. But this game against Notre Dame is showing a lot of the things that I talked about as far as his deep throw accuracy. That's incredible, but also does show a lot about his short throw accuracy that's very questionable.
Okay,
So
there
I
we
don't know
go.
if you
Sorry,
could skip ahead.
this was a new a new feature. It looks like I hadn't used on Firefox before, picture in picture, so you can get a little bit of a less wasted space on YouTube. But yeah, where should I go?
Interesting. Can you just fast forward a little bit to when the game actually? Oh, here we go. JK, we're starting. Can you play? Is this showing up on the screen for them as well?
Yep. Actually, yeah, I got a transition. You're right. Good point. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. So you see him right here. Pocket breaks down. He gets a couple of yards. Again, that's the type of thing that I was talking about where the pocket breaks down or the play breaks down and he'll start making things happen. Right here, you see him trying his very best to do something. And look at this. Somehow he makes, I don't know how he got out of that pocket, but he turned it into a 16-yard gain essentially. So again, impressive escapability and not very panicky in the pocket where he's going to take a sack like a Trubisky would when the pocket broke down and he couldn't get a lane to escape.
Right.
Not the case for our guy here. So I don't know if you are able to like skip ahead 10 seconds every, when this type of stuff happens. Let's see if this play shows a little bit more. So let's see. This is a beautiful throw. This is a back shoulder. I mean, it's supposed to be a little bit further into the corner, but the fact that he threw this before he was getting hit and he gave his receiver a chance, it's a great throw. The guys in the NFL, corners are going to, yes, play that a little bit better, but also wide receivers are going to play that a little bit better. So it's going to play out very similarly to what you just saw. So I'm totally okay with, the throw. Yes, it was slightly underthrown for what it should be, but again, that's not too worrisome versus some of the other throws that I'll see in the game. So here is him going through his progression, which by the way, the guy you're watching make people miss and light it up is Daz Newsome, the wide receiver for the Bears, number 5.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so you can also, well, I will say one thing I was watching Sam Howell's highlights is I noticed how great Daz Newsome is after the catch, which is what they drafted him for. So I'm excited for that. But anyways, like look at these. So look at that. Like these are the type of things where I just go like, I don't understand how you missed that throw.
Yeah. Wide open.
Like this should be, and I don't, and I get it. His receivers weren't very good. I understand that, but this is a layup. I mean, this should be completed all day, every day, and he overthrew him. And I don't quite understand it, especially because he didn't have to gun it in. He didn't have to, he could have lobbed it in. It's really not, again, he's wide open. He's not covered. So this is an easy pitch and catch for a first down, and he just didn't complete it. And, again, this is the type of things that I worry about him playing in the next level because you can't miss that throw. That's not going to be there all the time in the NFL.
Did he just throw it off one foot? Is that what it looked like?
Yeah, he's throwing on the run for sure. And yes, that does play into your accuracy. But if you're going to be an elite prospect who's going to be, a quarterback for a team in the NFL, you can't be missing throws like that, especially when your guy's not covered. He's not trying to fit it into a tight window. But the fact that he, overthrew that is ridiculous. And then this play, like this type of play, that's a great throw. The safety over top, you just want to protect your receiver, throw it low so the guy has a chance to catch it and it doesn't get picked off. And then look at this throw. Like this
Wow.
is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Like his deep throw accuracy, and he's like about to get hit when he makes this throw. This is a throw that we've seen Justin Fields make against Clemson in that game where we went, wow, that was an incredible throw by Justin Fields. This is the same throw. Like it's almost identical. And so yeah, he has the capability to make those throws where we want to talk about him in the same kind of ballpark as like a Justin Fields and how excited we are. But the problem is I didn't see Justin Fields miss too many of those throws that guy missed on or that Sam missed on this previous one.
That is
So
a bullet.
yeah, and look, he's throwing it. He's about to take a sack. You know, he's not even really setting his feet as well as he could have hoped, stepping into the throw, and he still forces it up there. So, and then you could skip past this. It's just him running it in, which is fine. It shows a little bit of his athleticism, but yeah. And then like, you see, yeah, so there's just, it's just issues with him that I'm just worried about. And you see it come through in games like this. And this is the reason why I picked this game and against Notre Dame, especially, is because Notre Dame had a pretty good defense this year. And so having him against, good talent shows whether a quarterback, can do. And a lot of quarterbacks do a lot with a little, and that's why they get seen. And he does that for sure. His receivers, by no means, I mean, as excited as we talked about Daz Newsome, I mean, Daz Newsome was not, a second round draft pick or a first round draft pick.
Right.
Neither was Diami Brown, who's another receiver that he has, who's number 2 on the team, that you'll see in the highlights. So, and then he's also, I mean, half the time too, he's also dealing with what you're seeing right here, which is him running for his life and getting killed.
Yeah.
So, but again, he doesn't panic. That's the thing, is he doesn't lose the ball. He doesn't panic. But then there's like, like throws like this, like again, it's just the consistency. I don't understand it. This is a great throw. Like, yeah, you can question whether or not he should have thrown it because it was in a double coverage, but he threw it right where the receiver could grab it. That was the only place the receiver could catch it. And I mean, look at this, right in the pocket. Beautiful throw in between the two guys. Again, judgment call whether or not he should have thrown it, but still there's issues like that. This is a pocket awareness right here. So he pulls the ball out of this RPO because he wants to throw it, but the blitz is there too quickly. And so what does he do? He gets out from the blitz and immediately pulls out of the end zone and gets a yard or two. And that saves the safety and keeps the drive alive. So again, there's things like that, pocket awareness, getting through his progression, things that you want to see out of a quarterback prospect and a top prospect. And that you hear with like a Justin Fields, and why Justin Fields fell. People questioned his his reads and going through his reads and dumb things like that.
Yeah.
He can do those things. He can go through reads, he can go through progressions, he can make things happen when plays break down. It's just his consistency throwing from short to mid range and his accuracy within short to mid range is just a little worrisome for a guy who's going to be, a guy that you're going to put all your stock in as your franchise quarterback. So I'm not saying don't draft him for for teams, but I'm just saying that when you draft him, make sure that you're trying to see if he is making a jump in his accuracy from year 2 to year 3 this coming year. And if he doesn't, you have to understand that you're going to have to work with him to fix that. And if you can't fix that, then you're gonna have a hard time turning him into a winnable quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
but otherwise, he's got all the talent in the world, all the aspects that you want out of a quarterback. Maybe obviously you'd like him to be a little taller, but nobody cares. I mean, in this modern world where, Kyler Murray, who's 5'10", 5'9", can win consistently and play well and be dominant, nobody cares. Same with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Nobody cares that much or puts that much stock into height, unless your name is John Elway. So,
I was just gonna say that's exactly what I was gonna bring up. Paxton Lynch wanted to draft. Sorry, the Cowboys wanted to draft Paxton Lynch instead of the.
there's yeah, exactly. There's Daz Newsome, by the way, right here.
Ooh. He's fidgety. I like that.
Yeah. Well, that's why he was one of the best receivers in yards after catch, which basically means that as long as you get the ball in his hands quickly, he can make a lot happen after. See, and
Yeah.
watch this throw.
Oh.
Look at that. I mean, that's
Let's
an
run that
incredible
back.
throw. I just don't understand why you can't hit the you know, 10-yard out routes, but you can hit this. Like, it just doesn't. It's just that's what I'm worried. So that's what worries me. Is like, look at this throw.
Beautiful.
Like, it's a beautiful throw. I just don't. Again, I don't get how you can hit that, but can't hit the 10 to 15-yard out route. It just doesn't make sense. But that's what you're gonna have to deal with, and that's why if you're gonna watch him next year to really evaluate whether or not he's gonna he's gonna be successful in the NFL, watch for that type of accuracy. Watch of those on those short to intermediate throws if he's able to complete them with better accuracy than you're seeing in this video, or if you watch further highlights of him that you see in other videos. If you see improvement in that area, I think you draft him no matter what because he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL.
Is
But
this,
that's
you said is he like a first round pick?
oh,
Or
if he clears that up and really looks as good as he has, he'll be the number 1 or number 2 overall pick.
oh, okay. Okay.
So, yeah. 100%. He'll be the number 1 or number 2 overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't clear up those issues, I'd be worried about drafting him number 1 or number 2 because I would be worried on whether or not I'll be able to fix those problems. So you'd really have to trust your, coach's ability to kind of solve those issues or work with him on those issues.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm sure there'll
that's
always
it.
be a team who's gonna,
Oh
I
yeah,
could
there's
fix
gonna be a
them.
team regardless that takes a chance, even if he doesn't look like he improved in the film. But either way, he's gonna get drafted. It's just like I said, it's I could see Sam Howell being one of those guys where he doesn't make a great improvement next year, but he still looks great because he has those flashes, and then he gets drafted number 2 overall by the Washington football team, and then is out of the league in 5 years. So
Right. Oh my God, he looks like Baker Mayfield, but
yeah, he really does. I mean, he
like an
really
alternate
does. But
universe.
he also plays like Baker Mayfield, so that's part of the problem too. Is I'm like, I don't want to say that he is Baker Mayfield, but that is like similarly the comp. It's literally the only problem is he doesn't have the accuracy Baker does. So